Hello and welcome to Tabletop Oddity. My name is Jay, and today I'm going to be looking at a video that I'm sort of calling this the true cost of competitive X-Wing, but I'm also going to be throwing out some extra Worlds 2017 like stats or facts, whatever you want to call it, because basically I was interested in how much the pros, although they're not actual professionals, just the most competitive players, although I'm not sure why I'm doing that, the most competitive players were spending on their teams or fleets or whatever you want to call them to get their competitive list. So what I did is somebody kindly on Reddit posted the entire top 16 and the ships that they were using. I've gone ahead and made a spreadsheet with what expansions those people will have needed to make the team that they had. So obviously they have upgrades and stuff like that. It's not just the ships that they're flying, it's all the extra cards, the upgrades and all that kind of thing, as I said. And the cost that I'm going to be personally using is the British pounds from Element Games, although I'm fairly sure any other online retailer will be about the same. And when I tried to convert that into dollars, I've used just the conversion rate, but it said that a ship that was like £32 would actually be about $40. However, when I went onto Miniature Market, they were selling it for like $32. So it's actually probably a little bit less than what I've put. Anyway, my spreadsheet is here. I'll be putting a link below if you do want to check it out, either to correct me or just for your own use, that's fine. But as I said, I've gone through, I've put the expansions they've had to buy for each player, how much that cost each expansion, and we've got the total cost of the fleet/army. The only thing I've not included is the core set. I'm presuming that everybody's going to have to have bought the new core set. You don't necessarily have to, and some people are running actually something from the original core set, so they technically didn't need to, but we're just going to omit that and presume that everybody will get that. So the fleet cost here in this bar chart, as I said, it's in pounds, and it's literally just the top 16 alphabetical, not in order of position. And yeah, you can see there's quite everything is over £100, and there's only one that's above £200. And if I was to say that in dollars, the £204 one is approximately $260. Although, as I said, give or take, depending on your discounts that you can find in your store. That was run by Marcel. And the cheapest £107 is actually $137. So, that's not as bad as I was anticipating. Now, this is of course only if you buy the ships that they used. Obviously, I think a lot of people's collections are probably bigger than that because you don't know, you're not just net listing, you're not just going to buy the most competitive things and run that. Well, actually, you might do, and if you want to do, this is probably an idea, buying some of the most popular ships. So yeah, decent spread. The actual average there, for people wondering, and this was the main part, is £180. So I think for a full competitive list, £180, it's fairly decent. I know it can sound quite high, but you don't get competitive overnight. You need to learn the game and get better and that kind of thing. So if you gradually build up to that, that'd be fine. The only worry is some of the new waves might come out, and so you precede some of the older stuff. There was one or two instances where they could have bought either Most Wanted or Houndstooth, and I've just picked one or the other. It doesn't really matter in those cases. And there's one incident where one of the new expansion packs are actually going to have one of the cards that they used, and it might have been cheaper. But obviously it wasn't out, as the World Championship in 2017 was 2 months ago. So all in all, for the cost, I think that's fairly decent. Now we'll have a look at the factions. There were obviously in the top 16. There were obviously 16 people. I mean, that goes without saying almost. But the Scum and Villainy faction, they actually had 12 out of 16. So they had 75% of the makeup of the top 16. The Rebels having 18.8%. That was basically, they had 3 appearances in the top 16. And the Imperial list, well, that came second. That was by the legendary, as far as I can tell, Nand Torf. I don't really know. Apparently he's won it the 2 previous years. But yeah, you can see that's quite a heavy siding with the Scum and Villainy faction. So just while I'm here, I'll say there were a couple of other stats and facts, or whatever you want to call it. In total, there were 16 different pilots run. Now, you could say that's one for each player, but obviously that's not true. Some players ran unique pilots exclusively, and some people just ran the same pilot 3 times. And yeah, there were 16 different pilots. More than half of the top 16 actually were running Fen Rao. Excuse me on my pronunciations, I'm not 100% sure of this. I think that's probably in the Clone Wars and I haven't seen it, but I might watch it at some point. Yeah, so 9 out of 16 were running Fenny, as my girlfriend called him before, which is quite a lot, I think, obviously. As I said, that's more than half. The Jumpmaster 5000 and the Protectorate Starfighter were both actually flown, though, the same number of times of 15. Which, you know, is interesting. Now, when it comes to which expansion was bought the most, well, the expansion that was bought the most was the Punishing One expansion. That was bought 26 times. So when I say it was bought 26 times, I mean, for the total top 16 players, between them, they've not all bought it 26 times. The total of the times that they bought it must have been 26 times. Now, that's technically not true. It's what you would need to get them if you weren't going to borrow cards and stuff like that. I'm sure that these competitive players are probably being like, oh, I'm short of a guidance chip. Can you borrow me one or something like that? And my spreadsheet actually doesn't count how often an upgrade was used. It only counts what expansion was bought to get the upgrade that they used, if that makes sense. So as I said, yeah, the Punishing One expansion was bought 26 times. So you can imagine maybe if you're a beginner and you're interested in getting competitive, might be a good idea maybe to buy that one. And the second one was, as I said, the Protector Starfighter expansion. That was bought 15 times in total. So pretty, you know, if you've got those two ships, you're possibly onto a winner, or the start of a winner, I should say. Now, the main upgrade was, I don't know how to say this, but it was a Tani Mind Link. Now, this was actually used on 33 different ships. And it was actually bought, some people, they bought the Punishing One expansion 11 times purely to get the Tani Mind Link. So quite a popular card. 33 ships were running it. And whilst I said that there were 16 different unique pilots, but you know, you could say that's one for each one, there were actually 46 ships flown, which equates to about 2.8 ships per fleet. So between 2 and 3 ships, that's what you're going to need. Not only was the Imperial Raider expansion pack the most expensive expansion pack actually bought for World's Top 16, it was actually only bought for the Emperor Palpatine upgrade card. So you can imagine that's quite an upgrade, quite a cost for one upgrade, I should say. So let's say you wanted to buy every single expansion for the top 16. I'm not sure why you would, but let's just say you did in this case. It would cost you about £2,617. And you'd be buying a total of, oh, I didn't actually write this one down, so let me just calculate it. You would be buying a total of 115 different expansions. So the number of expansions you probably would need to field a competitive list, it's between 7 and 8 you'll have to buy to, you know, actually run one of these lists. Even though Travis had the cheapest fleet at £107, he was tied with James for the fewest number of expansions bought. They each only needed 5 to field their lists. And Marcel, who had the most expensive army, £204, he needed 10 expansions to field his entire fleet. Marcel bought 7 expansions just for an upgrade each, pretty much. So you can definitely see where his expense came from. So technically the most efficient pilots were Dengar and Tel Trevura, as they were actually only ran once by Nand, and he finished second. So they were the most efficient pilots, as in they achieved a high position, an average high position when they were used. But it doesn't really work because, as I said, they were only really ran once and they were done obviously very well. You could also say the Imperials had a higher average finishing point, as they had an average of 2. But they don't really work because the numbers aren't that big, so probably worth ignoring. If you want my spreadsheet, it will be in the link below. As I said, if there's something wrong with it, do let me know. This video is a little bit unusual because it's me talking about facts and stats and stuff like that, and I'm not 100% sure how interesting that would be. I possibly could have just made the list and posted it on Reddit and been done. But, you know, I put the effort in, and the idea was to talk about the cost of competitive X-Wing. And I'm actually really pleased with the cost of competitive X-Wing. Like if you compare it to a few other games, I actually think it's not that bad, with the caveat that you would have to just buy the competitive things. If you want to have a full diverse fleet, like you're not really going to get it. So like this one scum army is like £180, and they're mostly scum ships. So do keep that in mind. I actually didn't do that. I didn't mark what ships were bought the most, or like what faction were bought the most. For example, I think Justin, who finished first, he bought a K-Wing, but obviously he was running that in the scum. Well, he wasn't actually running it. He just bought the K-Wing for one of the upgrades. So he would have some rebel forces if he needed. It's a little bit unusual that I didn't actually do that. Maybe I'll do that next time. If there's interest, then there's probably a lot of extra details I could go into. If there's not, then I'll probably just do it next year anyway, because I'll be interested myself. If you like this, then, you know, do like, subscribe, all that kind of jazz. If you have any friends who you thought might be interested, then, you know, put it on Twitter. Whatever. Or don't. It's fine. Anyway, I love you. I hope you have a most beautiful day. I'm sort of hoping you might have found this video interesting. Have a beautiful day, and goodbye. Bye.